Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
Well, good morning, one and all, and happy first day of autumn. 2:19 p.m., guys, is the actual autumnal equinox today. This is not, Bethany, this is not the holiday where you stand the egg on its side, right? That's the spring one. Do you know? Do you not know this? I'm throwing all kinds of info to Bethany Mandel today. She didn't remember the annoying orange. Of course, I didn't remember the annoying orange. I called it the annoying apple. I'm Andrew Langer, by the way, in for Larry O'Connor today.
Did you sleep last night?
I did. You know, I didn't jinx myself at all. But so glad I could join you on this first day of fall. It is 7:07 here on News Talk 105.9 WMAL. We are making sense of the news. Listen, we got lots coming up on the show. We're going to continue to be talking about the Charlie Kirk Memorial yesterday. But joining us right now, Joe diGenova, the former U.S. Attorney to the District of Columbia, now a legal analyst. And Joe, very strange happenings over the weekend as the Democrats continue to race to see who can be the nuttiest. Now we got Gavin Newsom not just signing an order saying that we were not sure he can actually sign, ordering ICE and other federal agents to take off their masks when they're performing their official duties, but then tweeting at Kristi Noem about it in a very threatening manner. Well, what do you make of this story?
Well, first of all, I'm coming to you from Lake Como, Italy, on
Very
a wonderful trip, and to let you know that over here, Gavin Newsom is considered loco.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons is that Gavin Newsom forgot that there's something in the Constitution in Article 6, Clause 2, called the Supremacy Clause.
Yes.
And that means that federal law is supreme. And so no matter what he does to try to prevent federal agents from wearing masks, he can do nothing. And if he physically tries to stop them, he will be arrested because they can do whatever they want. That's why we have federal law. That's what the founders wanted. And they wanted to prevent people like Gavin Newsom from thwarting the enforcement of federal law. And, of course, immigration is completely the province of the federal government.
By the way, Joe, I just need to point out, humble brag here. We're on a trivia team on Friday. One of the prevailing categories was constitutional law, and we dominated that category. I mean,
Excellent.
it is amazing to me that this is the hill that the Democrats want to, I don't want to say die on, but this is the hill that they want to climb and sort of stand and cast about on. I mean, as Bethany pointed out, I'm sorry, Bethany, I'm going to steal your thunder here. This is an 80-20 issue here, isn't it?
Well, the bottom line is this. Gavin Newsom is running for president. This has nothing to do with governing the state of California. This is all performative politics for the purpose of separating himself to be Trumpian. This is really fascinating. He hates Trump, but he wants to be Trump.
Yes.
He is copying Trump in every conceivable way, and he is pretending to be Trump for performative purposes. But it means nothing, except in the grander scheme of American politics. This is pretty good stuff. I think he's making a very smart decision. I think if you're a politician and that's your goal, he's like AOC. They have staked out this territory that they are anti-Trump, and they're taking the risk. They are assuming that they will win, that the American people will decide that they've had enough of this. We shall see.
I don't want to accuse you of listening to the show earlier in the episode, but because you're on your holiday. But I agree with you. I think that he is absolutely mimicking Trump. But I wonder, just from a legal standpoint of this mask ban that's aimed at ICE and opposing the National Guard, who Trump was hinting at sending the National Guard into other cities. It seems like to me, as someone who only watches Law and Order but does not actually have a law degree, that the law is on the president's side on most of these, if not all of these issues. Will this? I disagree with you that I don't think that this is actually a winning issue for Newsom and Democrats. I think falling on the wrong side of 80-20 issues is generally bad electorally. But do you think that if they get their behinds handed to them if they try to oppose Trump on legal grounds? Do you think that will impact them, or do you think that they'll just become sort of martyrs for their cause?
Well, it's very difficult to say. The American electorate is all over the place on all this stuff, although I do not trust the polling on immigration and all this stuff about Trump because the underlying questions are prejudicial to Trump. So the bottom line is this. The law is the law. Trump controls the federal government. The Justice Department, the U.S. Marshals Service, FBI, DEA, immigration, all of those officials will follow the executive orders of the President of the United States. And so it doesn't matter what Newsom says. And he knows it doesn't matter. Newsom is very smart. He has good lawyers around him. They are telling him this is nonsense. This is not enforceable. And he says, I don't care that it's not enforceable. I'm making a political point. But ultimately, they will lose legally if they try to. And here's the dangerous part of this. If they try to stop ICE agents from doing their job, something very dangerous can occur. And that is men who are armed and who are challenged will fight back. And I can tell you this, the California Highway Patrol is not going to challenge an ICE officer because they know that an ICE officer will discharge his weapon if challenged.
Well, I mean, Joe, listen, it's not like we've never seen this before. You know, Democrat leaders in America pushing back against the armed authority of the federal government. I mean,
massive resistance.
Yes.
Massive resistance in the South against immigration.
Yeah, I mean, this is just this is just craziness here. Listen, because by the way, I don't want to take up your vacation time in Lake Como, but can you stick around after the weather in a minute and the traffic?
Sure.
All right.
Sure.
Before we do this, I mean, let's talk a little bit about the specific threat to Kristi Noem. I want to get your take on what Newsom said and the response there. His maybe you haven't seen it. He basically said on Saturday when he signed this executive order, Kristi Noem is going to have a bad day. You're welcome, America. I mean, obviously, again, this is performative, but your thoughts here.
At a certain point, the words of a governor have meaning, and they cross the line. Governor Newsom could find himself in handcuffs, and you know what? He would welcome that.
Right.
And that's why they do not want to do that. But at a certain point, law enforcement has certain responsibilities, and the people protecting Kristi Noem will do what they have to do to protect her. I don't think that Governor Newsom really means physical on Noem, but if it ever gets to that, he's dead meat.
Right. Well, listen. I mean, I don't know between Tulsi Gabbard and Kristi Noem, which female cabinet officers can protect themselves better. I wouldn't go up against either of them. Listen, we're going to continue to have our conversation with Joe diGenova.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Brought to you by the National Air Traffic Controllers Association. We guide you home. NATCA.org.
We are back. We're talking with Joe diGenova, former U.S. attorney, now legal analyst, who's joining us from his vacation in Italy. And Joe, I mean, it's shocking when you actually have people on the ground helping to keep crime down. Crime goes down. Now the president is looking to expand to Memphis and elsewhere. Obviously, once again, Democrats pushing back on this. This does not bode well for them, does it?
No, it doesn't. And the bottom line is you approach this is a very simple equation. People have authority, and they have to exercise it. That's what elections are about. Remember Barack Obama said elections have consequences.
Right.
This is one of them. But all of these confrontations which they are setting up, are really, really classically Democratic because they bring back memories of massive resistance in the South against immigration run by the Democratic Party, which was the birthplace of the Ku Klux Klan. So this is sort of a sick stage for the Democrats, but they embrace it because the Democrats are at a strange place in their history. It's all very bizarre, and they love it.
So I want to go back a little bit to yesterday when we heard from President Trump about deploying National Guard to Memphis and Chicago, and he talked, which I have to say, talking about all of these things during a funeral really rubbed me the wrong way. I thought it was really inappropriate, but we did hear from the president yesterday.
Yes.
Are there any sort of legal issues with sending in the National Guard to these other cities? I understand the justification because the nation's capital is the nation's capital. It's his jurisdiction. But are there any potential legal challenges to him sending the National Guard to these sort of more blue areas that might
There are always legal challenges which can be brought in federal courts, and Democrats have a very receptive group of federal district court judges all over the country who've tried to obstruct the president. But on this question of crime fighting and using the National Guard, there is a history of presidents using the National Guard to do various things over the objections of governors. The best are in the South, using National Guard to put students into the University of Mississippi. So the truth is that the president has the law on his side. And putting aside the question of whether or not you or I or anybody likes what the president said yesterday, let's remember who Trump is. Trump is a change of such momentous proportions that it has not even sunk in yet. He has changed American politics forever, whether people like it or not. The parties are almost irrelevant at this point. He stands astride the political system and the legal system in a way that no one could have ever anticipated. To me, as a lawyer, watching this evolve and watching him use the power of the executive is fascinating. You study this in law school. You take apart the Constitution. You look at the various articles, the legislative, the judicial, the executive, and you say to yourself, someone comes along at a time in history and upends the order. And it's fascinating because when you look at it in the long run, he has won every major issue in the Supreme Court on his ability to govern. And so from my perspective, I think it's important for people to raise objections, to be concerned, to talk about him. The thing that I think is really sad for the Democrats is to talk about this as authoritarianism, Nazism, fascism, and then they say that they haven't raised the temperature. Mm-hmm. We're in a very, very difficult place, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, right. I mean, it comes back to this, Joe. You know, I spend my days dealing with federal executive branch policy. Regulatory policy is my main bailiwick. And, you know, the expansion of executive branch power, to me, has long been the greatest threat to individual liberty. And that is measured in how much regulatory power these agencies have. If you go out of your way to reduce the size and scope of that power, it is the opposite. Oh, and by the way, learning from your first term and following the procedures that are out there in order to do this, right? Following the administrative procedure. I do, by the way, to the nth degree, right, where you're out there engaging in requests for information and advance notices of proposed rulemaking and then notices of proposed rulemaking. Dot your I's and cross your T's at every step of the way. I mean, that is the opposite of authoritarianism, isn't it?
Well, they are following the rules, and the truth is that the lefties don't like the fact that they're using the rules so fantastically effectively.
No, that's it. Listen, quickly, can we get a sense? It was a very quick response throwing out this libel and defamation lawsuit against the New York Times. A little too quick for my taste. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, well, the reason the judge threw it out was not the substance of the lawsuit. Yeah. He threw it out because it was too long. He said, "You want to refile this in a shorter version? I'll listen to it." But now he ruled that the manner in which the complaint was structured was not proper under the federal civil rules of procedure. He says, just refile it, and they will do that. So this is a nothing burger.
Got it. Well, listen, Joe, we don't want to take up too much of your time. Enjoy Lake Como. Eat lots of good food. Come back to us safe and secure, please.
Thank you so much. Arrivederci.
Arrivederci. Prego. We listen. We got so much more to get to. Right now, it is 7:23 on WMAL. Well, the race for governor in Virginia is tightening up, and Abigail Spanberger is facing some tough questions. Specifically, she can't decide whether or not she wants to allow men and women to share the same bathrooms. We're going to be talking about that coming up. Plus, we're going to continue to break down what went on at the Charlie Kirk Memorial. We got the New Jersey race coming up. It is 7:30 right here on O'Connor and Company, WMAL.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
Welcome back, everybody. I am Andrew Langer in for Larry O'Connor today, sitting alongside Bethany Mandel. Hello, Bethany.
Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning.
It's so lovely to be here with you this morning.
Yes, absolutely. Happy New Year to you, my friend.
I think I just jammed my finger. Shana Tova, Happy New Year to you.
There you go. It happens. It's listen, it's 7:37 on News Talk 105.9 WMAL. We are making sense of the news. You know, something, not just making sense of the news, but making sense of the world. In a world gone mad, we have to be the truth tellers here. And this issue of, you know, it's so funny because the Democrats, they don't seem to understand why the issue of men, biological men using women's bathrooms, biological boys playing in girls' sports, why this is important to rational people, not just in the D.C. area, but all around the country, all around the world. We've got this race. I know we're going to be talking about the New Jersey gubernatorial race in a moment, but this is Virginia, you know, the Old Dominion, the Commonwealth. We've got a gubernatorial election going on. It is very tight. And one of the things you want is for politicians to be forthright in what they believe, what they stand for here. Now, thankfully, we have for Abigail Spanberger, we have her voting record on these issues. But nevertheless, you know, maybe she's thinking twice about what she's voted on in the past regarding trans women or biological men in women's sports using women's locker rooms. Well, apparently, no, she can't articulate an answer. Let's go ahead and play cut number 11.
Us directly. Do you support biological males who say they're women using women's locker rooms and bathrooms and competing in women's sports?
Well, the circumstance as this legal case plays out is really one of, we've had court cases settled or judged here in Virginia in the 4th District, the former Gavin Grimm case related to bathroom usage. And in fact, the argument is, the assessment is, there needs to be much clearer guidance in terms of what is an executive order's binding assessment of Title IX versus what has been a decision of a court.
But do you personally support these policies? Do you personally support them? Do you support these locker room or bathroom policies, Congresswoman? Why can't you answer this question directly? Let's go. Congresswoman, do you support these bathroom and locker room policies?
Space, Nick. Thank you,
Why
Nick.
can't you answer these
Appreciate
questions
it, Nick.
directly?
Bethany, why can't she answer these questions directly?
She is remarkably self-aware, and for that I
Yes.
congratulate her because she recognizes, unlike Gavin Newsom, who we talked about in a previous segment, that she is on the wrong side of yet another 80-20
Right.
issue, and she has better consultants than Gavin Newsom does, and she knows that the only way she can get elected is if she hides from Virginia voters what she believes. And I think that's true. I think she has good consultants.
It's one of those things where, you know, when I'm watching streaming media these days, especially Hulu, like if I'm watching stuff on Hulu, you know, there is relentless Abigail Spanberger advertising on these things. And in that advertising, she is constantly making fun of the way Winsome Sears talks. And I find the ads very disturbing, you know, on a host of different levels, not the least of which is there is once again the not so mild racist component to what she is saying on these things. But this idea, you know, at the very least, Winsome Sears knows who she is and what she stands for and is able to articulate that. And I think you're right. I think Abby Spanberger knows exactly who she is. And she can't. She knows she can't stand on her record, so she's going to run away. By the way, that's Nick Minnock from ABC7 who's asking her these questions, and you know repeatedly. And credit to Nick for continuing to push that issue and to keep asking her this questions, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, there's only so much she can hide.
Yes.
She's going to keep trying. Don't get me wrong. And I think that's her best. If I'm giving election advice
right, 100%.
to Abigail Spanberger, that's it. Keep on hiding, keep on running. But don't run quite so obviously. If you could just look like you're busy, maybe do that move where you're like, oh, I'm getting a call. Sorry, good chatting. Yeah. That would be a pretty good strategy.
We know there's nothing connected to that phone, Congresswoman. I mean, but that's just. I think you're right, because what they're trying to do is run out the clock.
Yeah.
Between the racist sign that the Northern Virginia Democrat had, and then prompting the infusion of cash into the Winsome Sears campaign, combined with the galvanizing of conservatives and frankly, folks who are on the fence in the wake of the Charlie Kirk assassination. Abby Spanberger thinks she can just run out the clock on this election, doesn't she?
Yeah, and I think that is her best strategy for winning, is running out the clock, because the more that Virginians hear about her and they hear about her record, and I think we're all kind of having a red pill moment, thanks in no small part to Charlie Kirk and his work. That will be her winning strategy, is running out the clock here. Early voting has started, but
right. I was literally about to say that, and the numbers are in, and conservatives are galvanized. Conservatives are out there, getting out there to vote. And not that I want to give Abigail Spanberger any advice, but something, you got to give people a reason to turn out, Abby. That's there. Listen, we got this statement from Governor Youngkin on this, and he's absolutely right. If you cannot say men should not be in bathrooms with girls, then you should not be Virginia's governor. Abigail Spanberger's silence is disqualifying. If you're a parent, vote for Winsome Earl Sears. We got so much more to get to. It's 7:43 on WMAL.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon on 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
So Bethany is, and I appreciate the Bon Jovi here, Michael, is the Jack Ciattarelli race, is that going to be the poster child for how you should run a political race in a state like New Jersey, or a purple state in this kind of a climate? I mean, things are really shaping up interesting up there, aren't they?
So I don't know. I think it's a well-run race on the Republican side. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to take the wind out of his sails that are really blowing right now. He's in the latest poll that I saw. He's up by a point. Republican is up by a point. New Jersey is turning purple very quickly. So that said, it is an indictment of what Democrats and DSA members are doing in New York City, and New Jerseyans are looking over the Hudson and saying, oh, I don't know if I want that to spread over here. Nor should they want to. But it is, I don't know how many people have looked at the results that in this last election, this last presidential election, but New Jersey went purple. It was shockingly close. Normally, when the polls close on the East Coast, they just call states, New York, Connecticut, and they didn't do that with New Jersey. All the initial returns, they were like, I think we're gonna hold off on New Jersey, and they did for a really long time. And I think that we're seeing the end results of this purpling.
You talk about the fact that folks from New Jersey, they have a certain attitude that's out there. And I think maybe part of this is we've been talking about how we are now in the era of F around and find out. Mm-hmm. And there's that exasperation. And I think there is a certain degree of that New Jersey attitude. I think it's a general tri-state area attitude of F around and find out. They just had a debate, the two candidates, Jack Ciattarelli and I think it's Mickey Sherrill, maybe it's Mikey Sherrill, talking about this. Let's go ahead and play cut number 12.
I'm going to make sure that he doesn't get to serve again when I win for governor in November of this year.
There's another big difference between her public service and my public service. It actually cost me money the time I put in and took away from my company. In the 7 years that she's been in Congress, she's tripled her net worth. Wow. There's another big difference between the two of us. Okay? She broke the law. She had to pay fines for violating federal law on stock trades and stock reporting, and the New York Times reports that while you're sitting on the House Armed Services Committee, you were trading defense stocks.
You know, there seems to be a streak of New Jersey Democratic politicians who play off of the public trust here, and that's all we need is to promote this Democrat to a higher office. But it wasn't just about her trading stocks while she was a member of the Armed Services Committee. It's also about her policies. Let's go ahead and play cut number 13.
Spokeswoman, can you clarify? Is that a yes or a no on would you continue the Immigrant Trust Directive?
What I'm going to do is make sure we're following the law and the Constitution. So that'll include due process rights and the Constitution.
Jack Ciattarelli.
I don't think she answered your question. Executive order number 1 on day 1, we're getting rid of the Immigrant Trust Directive here in New Jersey.
I mean, it's simple and straightforward, right? These are not difficult answers to give. Whether you're Cheryl or whether or not you're Spanberger, these should not be tough questions to answer, unless you're specifically not answering them because you're trying to run out the clock, right, Bethany?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm really excited to see how this race in New Jersey goes. The RNC Research Twitter account was really amplifying a lot of these clips over the weekend, and I think that bodes really well for the fact that Republicans are starting to wake up and realizing, like, oh, New Jersey is in play. What a magical world we live in now.
Right. It will be an amazing situation if Republicans pick up New Jersey. And by the way, that also means they can't mess it up down the road, because we've seen. Listen, it's not as though we haven't had Republicans win in New Jersey before. Focus on the fundamentals, focus on governing, and focus on solving problems. But there is a real opportunity here for Jack Ciattarelli to push this thing forward. And more to the point, this is what Virginia Republicans ought to be looking at as well, in terms of how, as the race goes down, as it comes down to the wire, they might be able to overcome Abby Spanberger's ability to run out the clock. I'm sorry, Bethany, it looked like, did you want to jump in here?
No.
Yeah.
I think that the only hope for also New Jersey Democrats is running out the clock.
Right.
Which, I mean, I don't work in that kind of consulting, but
sure.
I don't feel like that's a winning message for you. Is just like, I'm just talk less.
Listen,
talk.
Well, you know something, talk less, listen more. That was the advice that I was given last week going into a meeting with some folks. So I can appreciate that sentiment from time to time. It's 7:52 here on WMAL.